Good Saturday afternoon. I hope everybody's having a great Saturday. Uh, Today's topic is basically based about anxiety. I want to tell you a little story about anxiety. If you suffer from anxiety, there's a few things that, I'm not a medical professional. I don't claim to be a medical professional, but maybe there's a couple things that I can give you that will help you understand how to better control your anxiety. It's a working project for me. It will be the rest of my life. Thanks to Kyle for bringing it up from one of my other stories that there's people out there that this could possibly help. So again, feel free to DM me or drop me a comment, or if you have any questions in regards to anxiety. So I'm going to look at my screen here on my tablet. Just want to read something out, and then I'll tell you a little bit of a story. So, so some days I do still suffer from crippling anxiety, and I have a couple kids that do as well. It is something that is not a fantastic, happy topic, but it's not a sad topic either, because if you can learn to control your anxiety, you can learn to live a better life. So approximately 22 years ago, when I got separated, I joined a group. And this group for me, it was a group of men. It was a men's group for learning how to deal with your life after the fact. And I've talked about that in videos too. What about the aftermath? So I actually took that to heart. And shortly after I separated from my wife at that time, I joined this group. And every week for a few months, we got together and we delved into different topics, and we were allowed to share. It was a sharing group. It was fantastic. But anxiety is something that, you need to understand a couple of different things. Like I put in a message to my friend here, you need to identify the body trigger. In my case, my chest gets extremely tight and I tend not to breathe right and hold my breath. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, my chest gets extremely tight, so I could be in a circumstance where it could be a crowded place. It could be somebody getting upset at me, somebody getting upset at somebody else, and I trigger, and my chest starts to get tight. My anxiety trigger, one of my biggest, is my chest. It gets very tight. An early indicator of anxiety for me in a circumstance where I should probably avoid it or get away from it as soon as possible is when my chest starts to tighten. It's like a natural indicator, a natural barometer for my anxiety is my chest. What's the secondary thing for me? I stop breathing. I start holding my breath. It's like, and it's horrible, horrible circumstance for people to have to feel like that when your chest tightens and maybe you're not breathing properly. So what is the answer? Well, in that circumstance, I try to avoid that circumstance. I try to walk away from that anxiety situation. Sometimes you can't. So the only hopeful thing for me is to literally focus on my breathing. Breathe in through my nose, blow out through my mouth. That may sound ridiculous, but it actually works. Breathe in through my nose, blow out slowly through my mouth. Take 5-10 deep breaths. Try to focus on the good things in the circumstance that I'm in. If there's no good things, then literally you should be turning around and running as fast as you can. Living with crippling anxiety is a horrible thing. So those are two of the indicators for me, my chest and also, again, my breathing. So, I'm telling you, I'm not an expert, but I'm telling you there's things that you can do to make things a little bit better for yourself. I started noticing other patterns too. Again, like I said, it might not necessarily be what you're doing. It could be the people you're around. It could be the environment you're in. So it's so important to watch what you're associating with, the environments you're associating with, the people you're associating with. And it's okay to feel anxiety, right? It's not a terrible thing. Sometimes it's a good indicator as a safety measure for your life. So let's see here. There was something else I wanted to mention. Yeah, number 2 was embrace it. And when it's over, think about what triggered it. And was it worth the feelings it created? Well, what do I mean by that? Well, let's say I'm in a circumstance and I get crippling anxiety. I feel my chest starting to tighten, or it's already tightened. It's too late by the time I became aware of it. My breathing's shallow. I'm not taking deep breaths. I'm holding my breath. What can you do? Well, at the end of the day, you literally have to identify, like I mentioned earlier, identify what's creating it. Can you get away from that circumstance? Was that feeling that you felt worth it? Or was it something that you self-induced? Because sometimes the environment or people you're around aren't creating the issue. You're creating the issue. So here's what I'd suggest. You need to become self-aware after you come down from the anxiety and actually think to yourself, what happened? Why did I feel like that? Was that feeling worth it? Because if you start analyzing the circumstances you're going through and what caused that anxiety, and you do that after the fact, you'll become more self-aware so that you will start feeling your anxiety when it first starts hitting. Or you might be able to avoid circumstances because you analyzed the last time you had anxiety and are able to avoid it altogether. That circumstance, that person, that place, that environment. Anyway, hopefully this has helped out. Feel free to DM me, drop me a comment. Appreciate all you that are listening to me. If you have any ideas or suggestions or comments, I certainly appreciate it. Happy Saturday. God bless you all. Peace out.